Let's go. Oh, let's go.
And we're back.
Oh, man. I love this shit.
How good is this?
I know. Welcome back to the Split Shift podcast, where we cut through the bullshit and the noise of the fitness industry. My name is Jamie.
And my name is Dan.
We almost forgot my name. My name is Jamie.
Jamie. But it's Jemima.
Oh.
Welcome to the new episode. This one's going to be a good one. I'm particularly excited about this new episode, actually.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about all things weight loss. A couple of questions that we give to each other, as you guys would know by now. That's the structure of season 2. The two very popular questions that we get a lot, and I think you want to start first. Don't you?
I'm starting us out. I've got to grab my phone.
Yeah, dude, you started it.
All right.
Let's do this.
So I'm going to kick this with a question for
Let's get stuck in.
Darnell in regards to fat loss, weight loss, etc.
Yep.
Also, if you have questions, send the questions in. We're just getting these from our personal face-to-face clients and ones that have come up in the past.
My brain.
So if you got some fresh ones, bring it in.
Yeah.
We pick a topic, we sift through the questions, and then we each choose one that we're going to shoot at the other person.
You know what we could do is actually one day is that if we get a bunch of questions, we can do a speed run of like a shit ton of questions.
I love that.
And we just boom, 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 boom past to each other.
Just straight up, just booming.
Just dussing.
Just dussing it out. Just fucking dussing off.
Fuck yeah. Dussing
All right.
on.
Okay, so question 1, Daniel. I've been eating 1,300 calories per day for 2 months now. I'm tracking, but still not losing weight. Have I ruined my metabolism?
Yeah.
You fucking knew that was going to happen too. You looked at me like you knew it was going to happen.
Oh. It went all over. All over me.
So if you're listening on Spotify,
James just squirted on my face.
I suggest you go over to YouTube real quick. Oh, dude, on the jumper as well.
I know, dude. This is clean too.
Answer me, is my metabolism ruined?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. That is actually a good question, and I think we're going to unpack a couple of these. Let's unpack this question a little bit by bit. Let's peel back the layers. The first one: is your metabolism ruined? The answer is no.
Okay. Thank you. I was very confused.
No, your metabolism is not ruined. In fact, this is actually a common misconception that a lot of people, especially through mainstream media, you hear this so much that people throw out. They say like, boosting metabolism, your metabolism is slowed down. You've got to take this to speed it up. How much have you heard that, right? And typically it's mostly also connected to some sort of agenda or some sort of product that's them to sell you bullshit, essentially. So let's get that one clear, is that no, your metabolism is not effectively slowed down unless there is some outliers, don't get me wrong. PCOS, thyroid conditions, of course, those things that need to be addressed prior, or if you're ever unsure, definitely go to your doctor, GP, go get checked out. But most of 99% of the time, it's probably not. And let's peel back that question even more. 1,300 calories, you've been on it for 2 months now. It's not your metabolism. Have you ruined it? No. I would say if you've been in a deficit for at least for 2 months now, that's a good amount, that's an ample amount of time to at least give us an indication you are on the right track. You will be losing some level of fat. 8 weeks, you should be seeing some change either through body weight, either through composition, either through clothes, how you look in the mirror, confidence, depending on just if that's your primary goal, which I'm assuming it is. Now, if you're eating 1,300 calories, that's low. That is very low. And if you're not, I'm actually going to change that. If you're eating 1,300 calories, you're not losing weight, well, obviously the answer to the question is that you are not in a deficit, full stop. You are not in a deficit, and 1,300 is very low, where you should be able to see something, but it's also unsustainably low. So the next thing we want to peel back with that is that there is that risk of sabotage when you're eating more, like around that 1300 calorie mark, where you see it through the get shredded quick, the like the 6-week program, stuff like that. And like, you know what, don't get me wrong, like these things can be useful to some degree. Like we've spoken about this in past podcasts. If you've got a wedding, if you've got an event, all that stuff where it needs some urgency, just know that it's going to be unsustainable. Be prepared for that. But if you're eating 1300 calories and you're not losing weight, well, you're not eating 1300 calories. So you've got to break down that more to say, okay, what are your habits looking like? If there's a higher risk, and we're knowing that like with this knowledge now, that 1300 calories, there is a higher risk of sabotage, where could that be happening without even us realizing it? So you're looking a little bit more around the habits. You've got to look at the accuracy of your tracking. You've got to look at your subconscious eating that may be the byproduct of eating that's such low calories, because remember, you're going to want to move less. You're going to be hungry all the time. Or what's to say that you go past the office and you get up, I'm just going to grab this piece of chocolate, or I might just like have a little sweet treat after dinner, but you don't account for it. What happens there? A couple hundred calories here, a couple hundred calories there, a couple hundred calories here. All of a sudden, you just like, I worked so hard, I've eaten 1300 calories throughout the whole week, and I go to my Saturday, I'm like, I deserve this cheat meal, whatever that is. And this is a constant cycle, and you're not losing weight. Reality is it's probably not 1300 calories, and these little inaccuracies may have built up your weekly average. Divide that by 7, you're probably at your maintenance or worse. You're probably gaining weight.
Yeah.
And it's just from one being super unsustainable, dangerously low, highly would not recommend it. And it is, it's like, did I say inaccurate? It's inaccurate, and there is something a bit more habitual that's playing into that. It's definitely not your metabolism.
Yeah, you covered it. That's it. There you go. No, I think exactly that. Like, if you have been tracking such low calories for an extended period of time, and particularly if you've just started out, and you're worrying about other things, make sure your measurements are fucking bang on first. One of my clients, we went through a similar sort of scenario like this. You know, they weren't dropping at the rate they should have for the amount of calories they were on as opposed to their maintenance calories. So the gap, say, was like this, but they were staying the same. Turns out they weren't tracking their fucking coffee, which they had 3 of every day, which equated to an extra like 5-ish hundred calories, because they fucking love the fucking, what do you call it, the syrup, the bloody caramel syrup and all that shit. Apparently liquid calories don't count. So that's a thing. Anyway, we sorted that out. But also in the past, like with the combined 16 years of coaching, particularly face-to-face clients, you definitely see a bit of this, you know, over that period, you know. And I've definitely had a couple where I've said to them, oh shit, like if you've been somewhat even putting on weight over the last little period, you know, on the calories that you're on compared to your maintenance, this has fucking come out of the blue. It's very strange. I need you to go get a blood test, like to make sure that we're not dealing with anything else here, PCOS or fucking thyroid issues, or, you know, even insulin resistance, diabetes, whatever's going on. We need to figure out what's going on. Turns out that scares the shit out of them, and then they start tracking accurately. You know what I mean? So odds are it's true. Odds are the measurements are not going to be completely accurate. So another question I often ask when somebody starts going through these issues, because if you don't know, then you don't know. It's not anybody's fault that they maybe not tracking accurately. Maybe they don't know how to. So the first question I ask is that's happening to somebody, I would say, what foods are you not tracking? What foods are you not tracking? What foods are you not measuring? So are we using a cup measurement, or are we using kitchen scales?
Or serving size.
Serving sizes, yeah. So what foods are we not tracking and what foods are we not measuring? Then they rattle off a few. I'm like, oh, okay, let's start measuring those. Before you know it, your 1,300 ends up being 1,600, 1,700 when you average it out over a week. You may not be tracking your wines, you know. If you're drinking, say, a bottle every week, that's an easy 700 to 900 calories, depending on the wine. That's extra on top of your week, which is an extra 100 or so calories a night, So yeah, the odds are if you're 99.9% of the population, that the measurements will not be accurate. So make sure we have that first. If you are the 0.01 or the 0.1%, you may have some sort of underlying issue which needs to be dealt with, but still do not fixate on that first. We need to deal with the fundamentals, create healthy habits that are actually going to elicit that response from the body, being the fat loss. If you have been doing that for a while and you have been eating in that deficit or that perceived deficit for an extended period of time, I also recommend take yourself out of that for a little bit. Focus on healthier habits. Focus on other things that you can actually focus on instead of just body weight. Focus on measurements reduction, like say waist, hips, reducing those.
Yeah.
Because obviously weight's going to fluctuate. And if you're weighing at the same time each week, you may be weighing on a high day or a low day. You never know. Focus on other measurements. Focus on your relationship with food rather than just how much you're actually having, Focus on improving those things. Take yourself out of that for a month and then go back into it with fresh eyes and a fresh mind. That, even just doing that, can give you a boost of motivation and you have a better base to start with. But yeah, I think you pretty much covered it. The odds are you're probably not tracking accurately.
Probably not tracking accurately. I think what you said was really good, is like you're going back to the fundamentals of because ultimately that's what you're going to be doing forever. Something I always say to my clients is that you shouldn't use a tool like tracking forever.
Yes.
There should be a level of where it fulfills its usefulness, where it breaks that bubble of you want to make some change. Okay, let's get a bit more specific. Let's get more objective with it, where you get a bit more black and white. And then you can elicit that change because there's no bullshit behind it. There's no emotions behind it. But when you got to take out of that, what's left? When you take that tool out, what's left behind? There's a massive level of dependency, thinking that that's going to fix all the long-term problems, but they also can cause another problem in itself. A lot of dependency on it. So it's when you take that out and you kind of take that step away from it, you're like, okay, let's look at the great habits, the habits you can build that's going to serve you ultimately your goal. Looking at your portion size to a degree. You can look at your routine with food, your sabotaging periods, your danger times, stuff like that. And that's ultimately going to serve you a lot better long term. And then on top of that, tracking is just going to enhance those things
a
lot more. Ultimately, tracking is really fucking effective. Don't get me wrong. And we're massive advocates for it because it does create this level of opportunity. You can enjoy food and life and also succeed in your result. And we've seen that time and time again. One of my clients, shout out, I'm not going to tell him, but she in particular is almost about to hit the 50 kilo loss market in a bit over a year. And she gets takeaway burgers it's called Fun Lunch Friday, every single Friday. And these things are like non-negotiables. And she just takes it into account and works with that. And people are just like, how do you lose all this weight? When you're meant to be in a deficit, how can you allow that? It's just like, I've accounted for it. I've considered
100%.
it. I've used the tool as an opportunity to be able to manage it better so you can get the best of both worlds.
Yes.
But it always comes back down to knowing yourself as well, stuff like that. And you're not going to be able to do that at 1,300 calories. That's just fucking not sustainable, full stop. Maybe you need to change the baseline where, go look at a calorie calculator. If you're unsure, if you don't have a coach, start there. Just type in your standard, your weight, height, age, gender, and training frequency / intensity, put it on a basic calculator, and they can be able to give you some reference point if you don't have a coach. If you don't have one, coach will help you out with that.
Yeah, and even tracking accurately by itself, just purely tracking everything that goes in your fucking mouth is typically enough to have somebody start to drop weight, because it brings a level of awareness to food that people typically won't have. If you're just completely transparent and honest, you start realizing, oh fuck, I'm about to eat that. I better track it first. Or using the rule where I'm going to track it before I eat it. If you do that, it's giving that consciousness to what you're about to do, which is a fucking amazingly positive thing. Not even having a calorie target, just being aware of what you're about to do. It eliminates that reflex eat that so many people go through. Like what Danny just said about if you're in the office and you walk past the kitchen and, Susie's got those fucking 2 packets of Tim Tams just out on the bench and you're like, fuck, I'm trying to cut down, but I got to get this. You're like, okay, cool. I got to track it first. And just brings that awareness. And then instead of having, 12 like the rest of us would. I think it's 11 in a packet now, actually. Not that I would know. I definitely didn't have one last night. Instead of having 11, you might have had 2 because you're being conscious about it.
Yeah.
Rather than just reflex binge eating and then feeling sorry about it later and then just not tracking it like it never fucking happened.
Yeah.
Then coming to your coach and being like, my calories are too fucking high or something and I want to go down to 1,000.
Yeah, literally.
You know?
I'm like, well, yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Tracking's a tool. It's a tool. It's a tool to better your education around food. It's about bettering your education around what is in the foods that you like to eat. That's the biggest
And I
thing.
think with also, and disclaimer of that as well, is that tracking is 100% not for everyone, and that is okay too. Don't feel obliged that you have to track, especially if you have like a history of eating conditions like disordered eating and stuff like that. Personally, where I draw the line, and like there's a history of that probably not going to serve. It's not going to be as serving. There is other ways where you can find some level of understanding through portion reference, stuff like that, and some level, like where you can steer it in the right direction. That's essentially what you're doing, is that you're just taking this idea of like, how can I make this a little bit more tangible to cater to my needs and the direction that I want to go. That's all we're trying to find. When it's obsessive and it's making us demonize certain foods, we start on that front, like with that foundation. I'm like, this is good food, bad food, and I'm tracking on top of that, then that can cause another problem in itself. We're going to start with it, like think of it as an opportunity. That's the way I like to think of it and I like to explain to my clients, I'm like, it's an opportunity you can eat whatever the fuck you want. That's why flexible dieting is so awesome. You got your protein target mostly, and you got the rest to enjoy the foods with how you want to, with your preferences, stuff like that. But you got to make sure that we're addressing it by not saying I'm like, these are good foods or bad foods, just like these are more nutritious, these are less nutritious.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So it's a little less, black and white.
100%. Depends what your goal is, really. Like, depends on your goal, depends on your history. But there's no point building a fucking house on a shit foundation. You want to build a nice house, but you want to build it on sand, that house is going to fucking fall over.
Correct.
So you need to make sure your relationship with food is solid before you start going down this path, which is why I said, if you have been doing this for a while, take yourself out of that scenario, focus on your healthy habits, focus on getting good protein sources, fiber sources in, start there. And then from there, fucking build up and start nailing it. You're going to be doing a lot better than that person, fucking six-pack Sally or whatever, who does a 6-week shred and then, ends up reverting back to square one after 6 weeks. Later, 12 weeks. Anyway.
Good answers, mate.
That's that.
That was good. I got a question
You
for you.
killed that shit. All right. Next.
We have, that was a good one. That's a good one. I've got a question for you.
Is it my move or your move?
I just moved.
Also, if you are listening on Spotify, we do still play chess. Somewhat. We play it a lot less.
Yeah.
We still try to play it every episode.
I think it's like the more conversational this podcast has become, the less I'm just like, I'm looking at Jimbo. If you're listening to this on YouTube, watching this on YouTube, I'm mainly talking to Jimbo, but I'm like, I keep forgetting that there's a fucking chessboard.
We might get a little table like right here. We'll just be like, do you think? Yeah. We could do that.
Like Magnus cars and that.
A lot of this would not make sense unless you watch on YouTube.
Yeah, so watch both.
Do both at the same time.
Jimbo, question for you, mate.
Let's go. Also, I listened to our podcast on 1.4 speed. Holy fuck, it sounds funny. I do recommend it's a good speed.
Yeah, it is.
It's a great speed, 1.4, because it's like I actually speak a little bit too fast, I realize. So I've got to try to slow this down so people can speak or listen on 4.4. Anyway, sorry.
Nice.
That's those stims kicking in now. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. Also, good flavour. Good flavour. Yeah.
What do you recommend?
Question for you, Jimbo.
Okay, let's go.
My question is that every time I try to lose weight, I self-sabotage and give up. How do I fix this?
Wow. Every time I try to lose weight, self-sabotage is fucking so big.
It's big.
Like, even if you're not aware of it, if you keep coming back to that square one or you keep reverting back or yo-yoing, it's going to be due to some level of self-sabotage. But that word in particular, self-sabotage, is a fucking hot word, eh?
It's a massive hot word.
Yeah. People love that word.
I think people can relate to that to some degree 100%. As well.
100%.
Yeah. Especially if you're chasing a composition-based goal.
Yes.
Okay, mostly it can be related to more weight loss, but all compositions. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, and any sort of habit building formation style thing anyway. So this is more of a lifestyle based question. So I self-sabotage, and how do I fix that? Is that essentially what?
Self-sabotage, but like crucially, like this is like I just want to give up as well.
I want to give up.
Yeah, I want to give up.
I want to give up altogether.
Just want to be fucking done with it.
All right.
And then maybe 2 years down the track, I'll probably just restart it again.
Start it again. Okay.
Yeah.
First step, you need to break that cycle. They have to break the cycle. We've spoken about this in previous episodes. That cycle of, your go. That cycle of relapse, lose the weight, relapse, lose the weight, relapse, put the weight back on, lose the weight again, relapse again, put the weight back on, start again. You got to break that cycle because you end up becoming that person that yo-yos. Like we said, I think in the last episode or a couple episodes ago, you maintain that identity as that person that's constantly trying to lose weight, or the fat person that's constantly trying to lose weight. And if you have that persona and that mindset, you'll continue to do that, and you will continue to self-sabotage. So how I would go through this is, number one, break the cycle. So take yourself out of the scenario and look at it for what it is. And I like to think of these in 3 A's, which is assess, adjust, and align. That's assess, adjust, align. So assess the situation, what actually keeps going wrong, what continues to happen. Adjust, so bring it back. Is it adherent to where I actually want to go? All that sort of stuff. And then align with it. Align my identity, align my why with that goal. So assess first. You've just self-sabotaged, or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
You went through the goal, you fell off the wagon, whatever the fuck the wagon is, and then literally falling off the wagon, you've got to figure out why you fell off the wagon.
Yep.
What is that thing that keeps coming up? Is it whenever I go on night shift, I binge eat because I'm tired and I can't be fucked to cook or whatever it is? Or is it as soon as the kids go crazy after 6 p.m. I'm trying to get them to bed, and then that's when the Tim Tams come out or whatever. Is it, it's when my husband works away for a week and I get sad and lonely and, binge eat or whatever? Or is it when I go out with the friends, which happens every fucking weekend? Do I end up drinking too much, eating heaps that night, and then feeling sorry for myself in the morning and eating even more the next day? Assess the situation. Find out what's actually going wrong. What's going on with my mindset? I'm listening to Jamie and Dan constantly talk about identity and mindset. Where is my mindset at? How do I look at the whole situation when I'm thinking about losing weight, when I'm thinking about making a lifestyle change? How do I perceive myself in that world? How do I perceive my world? Assess the situation. You need to first figure out what continues to go wrong. From there, we need to adjust the process. It could be the goal. Do I need to adjust my goal? Am I setting unrealistic goals for the time frame? Am I setting goals that I'm not aligned with, which we were going to talk about next? Adjust to work with those barriers that we just uncovered when you assessed it. Adjust around the night shift. Adjust around, working with your partner. Adjust around your circle of influence. Make it work with your life if you do want to maintain that life, or adjust your life to work with your goal. You can't have both. You can't have a lifestyle that is up here, but you will have a goal that's over here. They need to be aligned in some way, and then getting that little golden circle in the middle.
Yeah. Yep.
Adjust the goal or adjust the lifestyle to make sure that you can still achieve the result without those barriers, or adjust and find a way around the barriers that we just uncovered in step 1. And then the last step is align. So align your reason why. Is your why compelling enough? Do you have a compelling enough reason why you actually want that goal? Is it important enough for you to achieve that result, more so than how fucking stressed you feel or how bored you are after work? Your identity. Align your identity with that result. Align your identity with that goal as well. Am I still the fat person that's constantly trying to lose weight? Or am I that person that's, living their fucking best life, living their ideal lifestyle, and that's going to spill over those results, I should say. Spewing over results doesn't really sound that sexy. Yeah.
You spewed on me fucking before.
Literally. Am I living that lifestyle that's going to give me those results? And I'm living a lifestyle that I ideally want to live day to day.
Yeah.
Am I being that parent that I want to be? Am I being that partner that I want to be? Am I showing up the way at work that I want to show up? Am I doing the things, am I living the way that I ideally want to live now? And is that aligned with my goal? Do I have an all or nothing mindset? Do I have a mindset where, if everything's not perfect, then I can't do it, which is 99% of the time somebody is a self-sabotager. It's because they have an all or nothing mindset.
Yeah.
It needs to be perfect. Otherwise, what's the fucking point?
Yes. Yeah.
You need to align yourself with that result. Align yourself with that process. Find out exactly what's gone wrong, adjust the process to make sure it works with you, and then align yourself with that process. Align yourself with that result on a deeper level, on a more identity-based level. If you can do those three things, then you should be able to beat that self-sabotage cycle before it becomes your identity and your personality. That's it.
We'll see you next week.
Anyway.
Nail on the fucking head.
But the biggest thing is you got to fucking break the cycle.
Such a good framework. Yeah, so good. So good. Those 3 A's are unreal. You couldn't have said it better. I think that's a really viable framework that you need to at least, if you need finding some direction, at least like start with that for sure and build on from that, because that's going to answer all the questions and most likely get you out of it. I think if I can really elaborate on that maybe, because you can't say much better than that, to be honest, but I would say is that definitely going back to that why is absolutely crucial. I'm a big fan of like, what is your why? Find what the stick is, find what the carrot is, find what's going to get you to why you want that compelling result or to that direction, but also why you want to leave where you fucking are right now. Like why you need to leave. I think I spoke about this like maybe a couple episodes ago. Some people don't come from a place of pain where they want to leave now, and that's fine. They have like they're pretty content, so they just want to build or enhance. That's awesome. Some people have a lot of pain, a lot of stick, where they're just like, I'm fucking suffering here, I need to leave. Got to remind yourself of that. I think what really helps enhance that why is look at it from, and if it may be, like if it stinks, it's relevant, but maybe not enough to make some change or give you that kick that you need from that self-accountability, is I love doing this with my clients, is that if everything, like I go through the process of like, go through my order of like, okay, do you remember your goals? Yeah, I do. What is it? Boom, it's this. I'm like, sweet. I'm like, do you remember your why? I'm like, yeah, it's actually because of this. I'm like, awesome. Okay. Now, where are you right now? I assess that with them. They tell me that we've kind of bridged the gap. We've separated where they are to where they want to be. And then I said, if you said where you're like, it may not be, like you may not be too bad of a place right now, or you may not have enough, juice to get those cogs turning more. I say to them, if 12 months down the track and you're in the same position right now, despite like you like what you said, or if you're even worse, fuck shit, how would that feel? Then most of the time, I'd be really disappointed in myself. I'd feel really shit. I'd feel like a failure. And then I'm like, okay. Well then now you really aligned with a deeper why that's also like added an extra time, like, more of like a time frame where from 1 year down the track, you don't want to be in the same position that you are. So you got to fucking do something about it now. And that's what goes through like the next stages of what you do, like with those three, further down with those 3 A's of making those changes.
100%.
I think with finding with, having that perspective and on the why, it's very good to like look at addressing what you're doing right now is a realistic. So what you were just saying before, but adjusting your baseline where you can build momentum if there is lack of momentum, or you feel like you're going up and you're just going back down again, you're yo-yoing. That momentum should be progressing over time, and that natural baseline will elevate over time more to that ideal version that you want to be. And because it's like, this is just a part of who I am now. Like if you look at, one of my clients is 2.5 years ago, never fucking joined the gym. Didn't live the ideal version he wanted. He had a job that he fucking hated. He would look at himself in the mirror. I'm like, I hate this person. He started where he was super real with himself, and where he had to say, I need to set at a baseline where I could say, I can fucking 100% do that. And the momentum built from there, because that confidence improves that over time. Achieve a win, boom, achieve the next win. That natural baseline has improved. 2.5 years down the track, does half marathons, deadlifts over 200 kilos, is in the body, like it is his dream job, like job that he absolutely loves. He's got a like really supportive partner. he's living the ideal lifestyle that he wants to be just by starting off what is 100% attainable for me and being really real with that baseline. Just so if you're really struggling with like, you want to give up, there's probably a little bit too much friction. There's probably a little bit, the baseline is a little bit too high where it's just maybe it seemed on like really good on paper, but ultimately you're not there yet. But that's okay. Because if you're looking at the grand scheme of your life, and if we're looking at through the lifestyle of health and fitness and this vehicle is a forever pursuit to developing that best version of self. You're not going to get to your best version of self. You're like, all right, I'm done. Let's hang the fucking dumbbells up, or let's put away the activewear. It's not going to happen. That's going to ultimately become who you are with given enough time, however badly you want it. Could be shorter, could be longer. But ultimately, if you have that identity, like if you line that identity, that person that you want to be, I'm an active person, I'm a great partner, I am a, like all those type of things, then give it time and that vehicle will, you'll keep getting better. You'll keep improving over time. Just set that baseline where you can 100% do it right now. 100% do it right now, and then slowly work from there. Slowly build those stepping stones. Something that we do in particular, if you're watching on YouTube, but for Spotify listeners, that we do a lot of weekly goals. So if you're looking at YouTube, it's basically like staircases, little small incremental changes. Treat it like that. Treat it like it's a staircase. And like our goals are here and we're trying to go up here. People spend too much time looking at the top, thinking they have to do that right now. But ultimately that becomes just unattainable in itself. So use those, reduce that friction, create a bit more of a staircase approach and just say, what can I just do that a little bit more each week? But then as well with that is that confidence changes over time and that belief system especially become enhanced because I have this evidence to show that I am doing the job. I am doing the work. I am following through. I am succeeding in that. That starts to change our subconscious mind. That starts to change our perception of self, thinking I'm this person that's trying to lose weight, or I'm this person that tries and fails, and I just want to give up. You're just like, giving up is not an option for you because you're adopting this, this mindset where I'm looking at small little wins or, this learning approach to be able to say, how can I get better? And that's invaluable. You'll progress forever, if you adopt that. And it's just by those small little incremental changes and all that type of stuff. It goes a bit more further rabbit hole with there, but that's essentially what I want to elaborate on is that find that baseline, make sure it is, and say to yourself, is it 100% realistic what I'm doing? And admit, say if it's not, and you just feel like you're just not getting anywhere, change it. That stuff is in your control. You can ultimately do that. And that's power back to you. Another way, just real quick before I wrap it up, is reducing as much friction as possible to make things a bit more seamless. So this is something I always say to my clients is that, especially when they're starting a journey or, they start the journey together, we're building the system, this framework, so we can create this effective vehicle so they can push this forever, even beyond the coach. They've just got it for themselves, right? It's aligned with their identity, ideally. So we're not here to say, you got to change your whole life if you're a parent, if you're a full-time worker, you have a social life. We're not saying that you have to change all of that into your goals. A lot of people screw that up. Is like we're integrating this fitness and health vehicle into your lifestyle, and to make that more realistic and seamless is by reducing as much friction as possible. So again, go back to that baseline, find what's realistic, but also reduce as much friction as you can. Make it easier for yourself. Plan ahead. Be a bit more structured. Get a diary. Communicate with your partner. Start adjusting those core things that's just going to make your life so much easier, so it doesn't feel like you're just chasing your tail. I'm just like, it's all good.
You were saying?
What happened? Where are we? Where are we? Wait, who drank my drink? Did you drink my drink?
Pineapple. Is it on?
Ghostbusters. Got a camera on.
Is there on?
Sorry about that.
Anyway, you're still here?
You're still here, wow.
This is awkward.
So, the camera.
Did you move?
The camera shut itself, clearly not. the camera definitely pooped itself a little bit there.
Yes.
Anyway, as I was saying before that happened, it just so it randomly shut off. So back to what I was saying. I think it was something around friction. Reduce as much friction
I love friction.
as possible. So back to finding that baseline, reduce as much friction as you can and friction, what I mean is that through making things a bit more seamless. So like plan ahead, get a diary, communicate with your partner, all that type of stuff so you can integrate the health and fitness into your lifestyle and then let that nurture, let that grow over time, like we speak about all the time. That was literally what I was going to finish it on, and it just cut off before that. That took about 45 seconds. So, cheers, Sony.
Stress.
Unbelievable.
Stress. Apparently, we got a 35-second minute cap. Apparently now, I don't know what new settings. Who knows? But either way,
here we are.
Yeah,
that was
yeah. Okay.
So to summarize with that,
yeah, I like all of that, all of those things.
Cool.
I like all those things. I think another thing that you were touching on when we're talking about increasing baseline, taking those little steps. The more little steps you take, the more your eyes open, or the more your mind's going to open to achieving new things as well. So that picture of your ideal self and the picture of your ideal lifestyle will continue to grow as you take those little steps along the way.
Yeah.
So just making sure that you're open to new experiences, open to different things, and open to becoming somebody different.
Yeah.
Open to becoming something more than what you ideally thought you might want to be. Definitely, this all comes back to focusing on a lifestyle base and who you are becoming rather than just a body weight.
Yeah.
You know, rather than just having a quick fix or, which we might even do an episode on next. Who knows? Who knows? Well, So focus on ideal, focus on who you're becoming, and then just take those fucking little steps to get there. To get out of the self-sabotage cycle, just fucking have a look at what's actually going on in your life when that happens,
Real quick on that too is that I instantly thought of that too is that if you're feeling that you try and you give up as well, you're also probably not recognizing wins in other areas of your life too.
Yeah.
So like so what you can do, just following off that, if you're just focusing on body weight and so much can change with the fucking body weight. That's
too variable,
Too much variables. Also change how you view your wins. What are your other measurable points as well? Because even if you're trying and you're not going anywhere and you're giving up, you're probably putting too much energy into just one thing. So you work a little bit more tunnel vision. We just got these, we always talk about blinders. We're just thinking about this. But for example, let's just say body weight. You're also not looking at like, your energy's better or your mood's better. Also, you're less stressed. Your lifts are getting better in the gym. Also, my clothing size is actually starting to change a little bit more. But it's still body weight. So also disperse that out. Look at the other variables, like similar to what Jimbo said with the on top of the weekly step. You can see other things. You can also see other wins in other areas of your life. Just got to be open to be able to see that too.
That comes back to that all or nothing mindset, man. Like, if you are in that, you're pretty much fucked because life is not all or nothing. Life is going to change. And coming back to celebrating wins, like one of my clients, she's yo-yoed for fucking years. And she goes to a book club and she's just recently started with me and she goes to a book club every Saturday. And she just told me that she prepped her fucking food and took it to book club because she didn't want to eat there's just tables of lollies and fucking chockies and stuff. And that was a huge fucking win for her. She's like, I just fully took control of my shit at a social outing, which I've never done before, But if she had that mindset where it was just, did I lose a kilo this week? She would have been a fucking loser in her mind. Recipe for fucking disaster.
It is.
Recipe for disaster. So change that. Change your measurements. Assess what's actually going wrong.
Yeah.
Adjust what you're doing. Adjust your goal if you need to. Is it realistic? And then align with that fucking goal. Make sure you're fully aligned with where you're going. If there's any sort of disconnect between you and where you're actually going, it's going to be very hard to stay on track for that.
I agree. I think following off that, are we about to wrap it up?
That's another 35 minutes, bro. We've been talking for 2 hours.
I just get carried away.
Just call me Joe Broken.
I think we will be able to wrap it there. I think that's actually a good...
I haven't wrapped it in years, but bye.
This is the Split Shift Pod. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you guys listen to this on YouTube, watch this on YouTube, listen to it on Spotify, give us some feedback. Like, comment, subscribe on both of them.
And send some questions through. We're sick of coming up with our shit ourselves. We don't know what you, the people, have to say. Both of you, all right?
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Uh,
Oh. Lovely doing business with you.
Thank you.